Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're navigating a really fascinating dilemma. What happens when a company that has, absolutely perfected the gasoline engine is suddenly forced to pivot to electricity? We are diving deep into Mazda's plan, the Sustainable Zoom Zoom 2030 strategy. It's all about achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 without, and this is the key, without sacrificing its core engineering identity.
It's the ultimate tightrope walk, really. Mazda has to commit serious capital to pure electric vehicles, but at the same time, they just can't afford to abandon the technology that made them famous in the first place. So we're dissecting their five-point technology and product policy. And the mission here is to understand how they plan to electrify 100% of their lineup by 2030, while targeting a pure EV sales ratio that is, well, surprisingly low compared to their global competitors.
Yeah, that 25% pure EV target by 2030 is so key. It really tells you everything about their priorities. We're looking at a multi-billion-dollar investment here and how they balance that refinement of internal combustion with building out entirely new EV platforms, all while, juggling these complex global regulations and forming critical new partnerships.
You have to remember, Mazda has always been methodical. This goes all the way back to the launch of Skyactiv technology in 2007. That whole philosophy was based on a building block strategy, basically, developing core tech that could be scaled and applied across different models really efficiently.
And now they have to apply that same thinking to accommodate, well, everything, from a highly efficient gas engine to a fully dedicated EV. So how are they adapting their architecture to handle that kind of massive divergence?
What's crucial to understand is that they are not choosing one dominant power source. Instead, they're building two parallel sort of layered architectures. And this is all designed to maximize flexibility. This is really the heart of their multi-solution strategy. It's an acknowledgement that, infrastructure, regulations, customer demand, it all varies wildly across markets.
Okay, so what are those two pillars of architecture then?
The first pillar is what they call the SKYT2V multi-solution scalable architecture. You should think of this as their ultimate hedge. This platform is designed to handle every permutation of current and transitionary power. We're talking their refined ICEs, like the enhanced Skyway FX, the new straight-six engines, hybrids, and plug-in hybrids. And it's vital because it manages both the transverse power units you find in their smaller products and the longitudinal ones for their larger premium products.
So they're essentially buying time. They're making sure that whether you live in rural America or dense Europe, they have a product that fits your needs right now. But that level of engineering complexity, running two separate evolving lines of architecture, that just sounds enormously expensive.
It would be, except for their commitment to radically efficient development. They're relying on methods like common architecture, bundled planning, and what's the term? Model-based development. Now, this jargon basically translates to massive cost savings. They are essentially building a digital twin of the entire vehicle development process. It allows them to test components, spot integration flaws, and refine performance virtually, saving billions before they ever make a physical prototype.
Right, that makes the investment feasible.
Yeah.
So the multi-solution platform manages today and the transition. What about the full commitment to the EV future?
That falls under the second pillar, the Skyactiv EV Scalable Architecture. This is Mazda's unique, dedicated EV platform. It's only for pure electric vehicles of varying sizes and body types. It lets them build EVs from the ground up without compromise. This is where they finally get serious about range and efficiency, and it's scheduled to begin introduction starting in 2025.
And before we look forward, we have to recognize why that dedicated EV architecture is so critical for them. We have to talk about the MX-30.
Ah, yes. The MX-30, a very hard lesson learned.
It felt less like a serious commitment and more like a compliance car, especially in the US market.
Exactly. It was based on a modified platform, not a dedicated EV skateboard. And in the US, it offered only about 100 miles of range. It was killed off after just 2 years. Consumers immediately felt it was compromised. It didn't have that zoom feel Mazda is known for, and it just didn't offer competitive EV utility. It really highlighted that half measures just won't work in the electric age.
That failure really underscores the nearly $11 billion investment they're now making to get it right this time. So looking at the near-term roadmap, say 2022 to 2025, what does the product mix look like?
It's heavily weighted toward electrification, but not pure EV yet. In this phase, they're planning to introduce 5 hybrid models, and it's important to note a lot of those will use the Toyota hybrid system, so partnerships are key. On top of that, 5 plug-in hybrid models and 3 pure EV models.
Okay, so 13 new electrified vehicles in 3 years. That's aggressive volume for the current platform. But let's zoom out to that 2030 goal. You mentioned the pure EV target is 25% of global sales. Most major competitors are aiming for 50% or even higher. So what does that 25% tell us about Mazda's actual strategy?
I think it's the clearest strategic signal in the whole plan. It indicates they are prioritizing global market flexibility and, high profit margins over just aggressive volume in EV-only territories. They believe they can meet emissions targets and satisfy varied customer demands and stay profitable by focusing 75% of their development on highly advanced hybrids and PHEVs. They're hedging their bets on the continued global demand for efficient gasoline-based transition vehicles.
So that $11 billion dollars and the new dedicated platform are fueling the next wave. We're already seeing prototypes. A new midsize electric crossover was spotted testing recently near their R&D center in Irvine, California.
Yes, that vehicle is critical. It appears to be a smaller, sportier electric sibling to the CX-90, and it will be one of the first products built explicitly on that new dedicated Skyactiv EV scalable architecture. Production is set for around 2027 with sales in 2028. That is the moment Mazda steps onto the serious global EV stage with the product designed purely for battery power.
But they can't wait until 2027. So to fill that gap in the world's largest EV market, China, they're relying heavily on a major partnership. They're co-developing and launching the all-electric EZ60 SUV and the 60 sedan with Tengan Automobile.
And this partnership allows them to leapfrog years of R&D. The EZ60 is built on Chang'an's EPA-1 platform, which gives Mazda access to tested modern EV hardware, instantly. The strategic risk is borrowing a platform, but the gain is speed to market and the ability to challenge the market leader directly.
And the EZ60 SUV is positioned as a Tesla Model Y competitor specifically. What makes it stand out beyond just the platform?
It takes Mazda's soul of motion design language and really electrifies it. It's drawing heavily from their Errata concept. You see sleek features, a full-width front light bar, dynamic LEDs. But the real strategic point is flexibility. The EZ60 is likely based on Chang'an's Deepal S07.
Okay, and what flexibility does that offer in the powertrain?
Well, they're offering two potential configurations, which is where Mazda really excels with these multi-solution approaches. First, you've got the standard fully electric version, a 79.97 kilowatt-hour battery, delivering a competitive range of up to 295 miles. And fast charging is efficient. It gets from 30% to 80% in about 35 minutes.
And what's the second, more unique option?
The range extended model. It uses a small 1.5-liter gasoline engine, and this is key only as a generator. It never directly drives the wheels. Now, if this range extender option is exported globally, it provides a massive differentiator against the pure electric Model Y. It addresses range anxiety perfectly, and it just encapsulates Mazda's commitment to flexibility while keeping the vehicle technically electrified.
Right. So moving beyond propulsion, what defines a Mazda in the age of autonomy and software? Let's start with safety. That brings us to the Mazda Copilot concept. It sounds like a really interesting human-centric approach to autonomous driving.
It is. This system is designed as a safety net, not, a self-driving taxi. Copilot constantly monitors the driver's condition, things like alertness and physical state. If it detects a sudden, dangerous change, like incapacitation or a medical event, it instantly switches to autonomous control. It takes over, safely guides the car to a stop at the side of the road, and automatically places an emergency call.
So that's using autonomy to save lives in real time. It focuses on the driver rather than replacing them. And that human-focused approach extends to connectivity too. They're developing software for mobility as a service and enabling robust over-the-air updates.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of Japanese manufacturing, software is where collaboration is really happening. You have 5 Japanese OEMs, Mazda, Suzuki, Subaru, Daihatsu, and Toyota jointly developing standard engineering specs for next-gen in-vehicle communication devices.
And why should you care about 5 companies collaborating on a communications device?
Because this isn't just about sharing, it's about building a common, safer data backbone that could lower costs and vastly improve software reliability across 5 major brands globally. They're trying to avoid the expensive, fragmented software battles we see in other industries by creating a standardized, stress-free, connected system. It's a massive strategic move to compete with the Silicon Valley giants entering the auto space.
That was a really deep and clear exploration of their path. So, to synthesize the findings, Mazda is strategically betting on flexibility above all else. They're electrifying their entire lineup by 2030, but they're balancing that high-cost commitment by running 2 distinct vehicle architectures at the same time.
Right. The multi-solution platform for the transition and the dedicated EV platform for the future. And that entire careful strategy, the 25% EV goal, the co-pilot safety system, the commitment to refining the combustion engine, it's all anchored in their sustainable Zoom Zoom 2030 philosophy. They're trying to move into the future of KISS-connected, autonomous, shared electrification while still focusing development on the driver and the concept of humanity.
It's a calculated and very expensive pivot. We saw they are heavily reliant on partnerships with Chang'an for those crucial quick-to-market EVs like the EZ60 and on Toyota for hybrid tech. So given Mazda's clear commitment to launching its own dedicated EV platform starting in 2025 and seeing those purebred vehicles in showrooms by 2027, here's the thought for you to mull over. How quickly do you think Mazda will or even can afford to fully pivot away from these crucial platform sharing partnerships once its own internal EV architecture is fully up and running?